Well into the afternoon of that long day's drive, they'd eaten lunch in the basement of a small-town church in the centre of Saxony. A strong sun had shone as, resuming their travels, they passed a group of men repairing a fence at the roadside. It looked to be a father and his sons, big, strong boys. The one closest to the road was tall, with a mop of brown hair, which he threw back in laughter as the bus passed. He looked to be Werner's age, and for a moment Clara had believed it was him and craned her neck around to watch him through the window. Realising her mistake, she pressed her eyes shut, and a small prayer formed at the corners of her heart, as tears did in her eyes. Let him be alive, dear God. And he was alive. The letter in her pocketbook had come less than a week after they were returned to Hertha. The displaced persons shelters, set up in what had been army barracks at the edge of the city, were spare but well organised, and the Red Cross workers were efficient, even kind. Those first days were filled with registrations, supplying of cots and blankets, and food. Simple but nutritious food. Dortmund lay in the British sector of the newly carved devastation that constituted Germany. Frau Klare Kohler? The voice from the front of the dining tent struck fear first, but then she had seen the sheaf of letters and heard other names called. There had been more news as well. Erwin was also alive, and actually somewhere in Germany, still with the British Army. The note from him was simple. Mutti, I am not far and I will come to you as soon as possible. Use these ration cards. Thank God you are alive. Erwin. Clara descended the final steps into the lobby of the hospital and made her way into the warmth of the summer afternoon. The barracks were far enough out of the city centre that the devastation of the bombing was not everywhere visible. The subdued movement of citizens and British soldiers was eerie. Shortages of petrol and damage to roadways limited motor traffic. Shops opened only during circumscribed times, and even then had little to sell. But it was enough for Clara to raise her face to the warm sun and breathe deeply before making her way to the shops. It was more than enough. The July day dawned bright, and Clara gazed into the opulent blue of the sky. Her eyes were weakened, and she had only a second-hand pair of eyeglasses. The relief of staring into blue space without needing to focus and refocus was a small gift of the morning. She noticed these small gifts as she took back the days of her life. But only the days had returned to her conscious possession. The nights were still rigid affairs at the end of exhaustion, fraught with frightening dreams or sleepless vacancy. Feelings stole across the fences of her routine endeavours, waltzed through the garden gate of her self-control, like a bold suitor with designs on her time and heart. Only this morning, surrounded by blue sky, the idea occurred to her that she might possibly have already experienced her best days. The notion settled on her as she pulled her attention back from the sky, adjusted her eyeglasses, and returned to mending Jakob's shirt, so worn that the mending was nearly useless. She stopped as a revolt from somewhere deep inside her shouted, "No, that will not do! I haven't come this far to live in the past!" Her own passion discomfited her, and she waited until calm returned. It was nearly time to make her way to the hospital. The weeks there had sustained Johanna in the way of an autumn garden kept tidy. She was weak and slipping away, but comfortable. Clara searched each day for a way to help her mother want to eat. She found a flower to put on her tray, or a special sweet when she could pay for it with the meagre scrip given to her. Today she was bringing a letter from Ernst and Dieter in Detroit to rouse her mother. She would read it to her, between mouthfuls of soup or bread. Clara placed her mending and the letter into her basket and found her cardigan. It hung on her shrunken frame like she was a child wearing her mother's clothing, but Clara hadn't time for thoughts of her body or her clothing.